For this one hunting season, I'm going to be using one cartridge, and that's the Black Hills 143 grain ELD-X. I'm going all the way up to Canada, Wyoming, and then down to Oklahoma for whitetail. But I'm gonna start out in Canada with some big game, elk and black bear. As hunters, we always talk about, is there one perfect round for, all types of North American big game? And, there's going to be several debates. A 308, a 30-06 has always been mentioned, but 6.5 Creedmoor is a relatively new cartridge and hard to gain that trust in the loads that you're using. And so when I thought Black Hills, they always go bang. They're highly effective. The testing is done from great Americans up there, and they know what they're doing with ammunition. And so the 143 grain ELD-X is actually, turns out, a great round, and we're going to test it out first thing in Canada. The area that I'm hunting is a family land, and I'm actually one of the last in line that is able to hunt given Canadian laws. But the area is absolutely beautiful. It's northern British Columbia, and every time I go there, there is an abundance of wild game. It's always an adventure when we go up to Canada because my dad's joining me on the trip. This is actually our third time to go together. Fortunately, I was on the gun first. Right out of the gate, I didn't expect it to happen this fast, but I located about 60 elk, and they were separated fields by a giant windbreak. And so they were on one side, I jumped out on the other side, and the stock was on. I got down in a good shooting position, and like a lot of these hunts, when they're self-filmed, it's hard to get cameras turned, but it's hard to get those shots. And this elk actually ended up stepping out from behind about 30 cows and perfectly broadside, 250 yards, and that is when I took the Black Hills ELD-X to work.
Right there, elk down. Happened super quick. Like, amazingly quick. First day of the hunt. Like, that never works out for me.
Just a phenomenal animal. Phenomenal, just unbelievable. Real big 6x6.
The shot was perfect. It broke perfectly, and thankfully he fell right out in the open. I mean, it was a perfect setup because honestly, I could drive the tractor right up to him. That's the way to load elk. But what you don't prepare for is when you forget your knives back at camp and your dad hands you this ginormous Bubba blade that you gave him for Christmas 4 years ago.
That knife ain't sharp.
Well, and for a gutting knife, this is, it's just that point. You end up rupturing stuff,
I cleaned the animal and I could not find the bullet. I think we get into these, semantics of, well, how did the bullet perform? What we really need to ask ourselves is, did it do its job? It's dead. That's all that matters. The black bear, I set up a blind or a tree stand, in the afternoon and set it that day. And it was on a field that we hadn't hunted yet. And there was a lot of bear sign, and it's all oats. I find that bear have a little bit thinner skin, thicker coats. And I was a little bit more nervous, honestly, about the black bear and the ELD-X's performance than I was the elk. I set up the stand, and I'm sitting there, and a bear comes out. And obviously I'm excited because this was the last night of the hunt. It's in oats, real thick stuff, and so I made a conscious decision to aim slightly behind the shoulder. The shot broke, the shot was great, and the bear went down immediately. Pulled up, bear was right there, right where I shot. So that was an exciting, kind of an adrenaline dump for me is the performance of this round.
Dash cab confessional time. About ready to get out of the stand. There's a grizzly in between me and this four-wheeler. Oh, look at this thing. I guarantee you the turd in my pants was massive walking out. Probably won't tell my wife about that one. That's my first grizzly encounter in the wild. I always know they're out here. I tried to get him to stand up to make sure I knew where he was, and I hay-beared my way all the way out that field. Walking out, hey bear, hey bear, hey bear, hey, don't want to shoot you, hey, don't want to get eaten. I guess he heard me before I got to him. He was about 200 yards away, and my four-wheeler was probably about 500 yards away. So the extra 300 yards that I had to walk out of there after the point that I got to him was terrifying. Holy crap. But anyway, I'm going home.
The past 2 seasons, I've exclusively used a 6.5 Creedmoor in 143 grain ELD-X round because I wanted to gain a little bit more confidence in that round. So now, after seeing what I've seen and the freezer being full, I can honestly say that my confidence has grown abundantly with that round. Is it the perfect North American cartridge? Might not be for you, but the proof for me is in the freezer.